Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Compelling Conversations podcast. Today, I'm joined by Humza. Humza, thanks so much for being here.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me on. This is going to be quite the compelling podcast. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
uh, what's it called?
I'm excited to have you here, man, because sometimes like people can say something to you, but it doesn't really render. But then one particular person says it to you, and all of a sudden you start seeing it. It's an interesting phenomenon that I've noticed. And I remember that when I met you in Austin, you asked me like, "Hey man, where are you from?" And I said, "I'm from New York." And you're like, "Oh, cool. Like, when did you get here?" And I tell you, "Oh, when I was a kid." And you're like, "Wait. So like, you're probably more of a Texan than you are a New Yorker." You said, I'd say that Houston has made you more than New York." And when you said it to me, it kind of hit me like, you know what? This guy is right. Like, Houston's made me more than New York. But people had told me that before as well, but it just never hit me like that. I always considered myself a New Yorker. But that was an interesting phenomenon to me that like
Yeah,
you said it to me and then it's like, yeah, you know what? I really am more in the tradition of the Texan.
yeah. No, I'm glad like we had that conversation, man. Because it's just I think like I mean I don't know if it makes too much of a difference. For some people, it maybe does, but I know like and just in the moment, like when you were telling me like, oh, I'm from New York, and like even I like because for those of you who don't know, like I'm also from New York. But I was telling Omar that like I just because I'm from New York, that doesn't mean actually like I'm really from New York. Like I've been here for 7 years, right? It's a pretty long time, but I've actually been in Connecticut for about 14 years. So really like my identity is really like Connecticut, man, to be honest with you. Like, my personality, like my how I talk, like it's not like most, I guess, New York guys maybe or whatever, right? New York people, right? I don't have really like the slang. I mean, it's cool. Like I like it, the slang. I'm not saying anything bad about it, but it's like I'm just a simple like guy from Connecticut. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really, from New York. I don't know why, but for some reason, the way I dress and talk, some people think I'm always like from the mafia or from New York or something. But that's not entirely true. But what's it called? Yeah, man. So it's just like I'm glad we had that conversation. I think it's good to like just hone down on figuring out like you're like where you're from, because that could really entail your identity, right? And it's like
Yeah.
it's a deep conversation, but I think like it's worthwhile knowing that, you know what I mean? So, yeah, man, that's my thoughts on that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
That phenomenon is just so fascinating to me, where people can tell you something, right? All these different people can tell you the same thing. But then one person says it to you, and that specific person changes your perspective on it. Like I also noticed this phenomenon with my friend Tahir, where something was happening, and I had shared it with several different people, and they all gave me like the same advice, but it just didn't ring in my ears until he said it. And it was the way he communicated it with me. He's like, he was laughing it off, he was joking it off. It was just so interesting. Do you have experience with that, where it's like people are telling the
Yeah.
same thing, but then one person in particular says it, then it changes your perspective?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna be blunt here. So like, and you tell me your thoughts on this. For me, bro, like I've had multiple of those experiences, and what's the reason why is because the way somebody, it's literally what you just said, the way somebody would say it, right? So it's like, like for me, what would hit home is when somebody was aggressively motivational, kind of. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense, but like for me, like whenever I've given advice when I was given advice that I've pretty much heard from people like a lot of times in my life. But like when it was that one guy, like he was just aggressive and like straight to the point, and like, he's like, bro, like that's how it goes. You know what I mean? Like, no, you're from, Houston, not New York. You know what I mean? Kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just what's it called? That's like, for me, it's when somebody who's like, I know for sure is not a biased person in the conversation, doesn't know me, doesn't like, really know who I am. Like it's just took a conversation, used logic, and like just put me in my place. That's what's worked for me the best. Like people who just like not really family members, it could be family members. For me, it has been family members. You know, but like just not people who I guess like obviously live with me. Like I'm saying like outside like cousins and stuff like that who I know like have been a very detrimental part of my life and my guidance. And of course like a lot of friends too that I've had over the years. You know, but you know, I do want to say that like I think like some people just hit home, man. Like some people just, you know, they just say things and they're like they just, you know, you're like, wow, you're actually true about that. But
Yeah. And
yeah,
sometimes even like it ends up being the people that are the most unexpected. Like I just randomly met you in Austin at a park, just
yeah,
randomly, just those random interactions are just so interesting. And
yeah.
they kind of build their own story. Like we're here now. That goes all the way back to Austin. What an interesting thing.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, man. Like, you know, small world, that's number one. But you know, I do want to point out, bro, like I did always admire about the fact that, you know, and I know we had the discussion about this offline, but like, dude, the fact that like you would just walk around and like just introduce yourself to people and like you know, just like talk about who you are and like what you're doing, like that to me like hit home. I was like, man, we need more like kids like this guy, man. Like we need more guys like this, man. You know, like we are literally at a college meetup and there's nobody who's like so proactive and so like I don't want to say salesy, but like just so like cool, man. So cool. Like, you know what I mean? I just loved how like I was talking to a guy and you randomly came up to me out of nowhere and like you introduced yourself, made some jokes, you know, you brought everyone's guard down, you know, like you just like told us a little bit about your project and I was like, man, this guy's gonna be something one day, man. Like I know I gotta get his like contact info. Like I gotta be in touch with this guy, man. It's a cool guy. You know, and it's like you just don't come across many people like that. And that's, you know, what I admire about you, man. You just really stood out of the crowd like that. You know what I mean? Just now, number one, for the fact that, you know, you're working on something and doing something with your life on the side, right? Not just aside from the traditional structure, right, of college and all that. But also the fact that, you know, you just introduced yourself into our conversation, which was so cool. You know, some people might find a problem with that. I mean, I didn't. I was like, yo, this is so cool. You know, I mean, but yeah, man. So I just appreciate you for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thanks for just even coming across. How
And
many
thank you
people
for
did you go
those.
to that day?
Well, I wanted to say, man, thanks so much for those kind words.
Yeah.
That day, a lot. I don't remember how many, but a
Oh,
lot,
really?
and
Okay.
it's something that I enjoy doing.
Yeah, I could
It's
tell.
yeah, it's I don't know, there's this thing where it's like when I'm out there in the world, right? I really enjoy it because now the world is demanding me to show who I am. It asks me like, who are you? You know? And I have to deliver, I have to present. And so that's what I do. And so that's what I enjoy about that. It's kind of real.
Yeah,
But why'd you say we need more people like that? What was your train of thought with that?
bro. I just feel like a lot of people are all like I'm pretty firm on what I said about like you know it's just the main thing is like we're all like in this one channel, man. You know what I mean? We all like okay, we all like graduate high school. Okay, go to college, choose a major. You know, you're in pre-med. Okay, you follow in that same route. You're in engineering, whatever. You follow in that same route. You're I don't know, whatever. You're choosing the same route, right? Even if you're in psychology, okay, that's cool. Whatever. You're choosing the same route. That's all cool. I don't have a problem with college and all that. That's not my point. But my point is, it's like, dude, like no one's doing anything different, you know, like we're all just like kids in this, you know, straight line and nobody wants to like, you know, maneuver around and try new things and like, you know, do different things. I mean, trying new things doesn't always mean trying new foods, bro. Like there's more to life than like, you know, like than what you think. You have to like put yourself in uncomfortable situations. You gotta like, you know, like just do new things if that means even allocate your time towards, you know, building like your dream, like this podcast for example. Maybe, you know what I mean? I don't know if that is your dream, it's just something you're doing. I don't know, right? Like what your situation is, but like it's cool, bro. This is all so cool. This is all different, you know. This is something that like I guess most kids like don't want to. I'm sorry if I keep calling you a kid, my bad. I consider myself a kid too, by the way. But
You're
what I
good.
mean
You're
is
good.
like, you know, like we're all just like in this same like channel, man. And like just having somebody who's different, you know, that's like how you stand out of the crowd, man. That's how like, you know, you stand out in a crowd, like in working for a huge company and the CEO is like, no, you know what, that guy's got a great personality. Like, okay, whatever, his work ethic is cool, but like, you know, I wouldn't mind having that guy around me. You know what I mean? And there you go. You're like the next CFO, right? For example. It's like all this stuff matters, bro. Like nobody wants to talk about it, right? Because everyone wants to talk about the certifications that you have or like the degree that you have. But it's like there's a lot more to it, man. There's emotional intelligence, there's, like interpersonal skills, and there's things that like, like in psychology, literally sociology even as well, that we should learn. And that's a separate conversation. But what I meant by that is really just having more like people just put themselves in uncomfortable situations. And for me, that's I think a large part is like just like taking on new tasks that I just know I just like in the beginning, I know that like I wouldn't be able to like really contribute anything to it. But I end up like doing those tasks and I'm just like, wow, like I'm just surprised by myself. Like, and most of it was through work. Like I've been working for as long as I can remember, man, like since I was a kid. Okay. And what's it called? I'm talking like, I don't know, like probably 14, 15, something like that. That's probably not that young to most of you, but I know it's much younger, but just illegally working for like restaurants and stuff, you know what I mean? So what's it called? Like for me, like I always knew like, okay, like I wanted to like, since I was a kid, I always wanted to take on hard tasks. I didn't care if I was a kid. I didn't care if I was younger than everybody. I wanted to do what everyone else is doing. Just because I'm like, 10 years younger than you, that doesn't mean that I can't, also, I don't know, like go in front of a crowd and give a speech or something, right? Or like go like train employees who are like 30 years older than me on like certain tasks. And over the years, like, any single job that I've had, it's always about like just improving yourself, bro, trying new things, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. And I'm sure to some extent people do that, but I'm talking about something different, man. What I was doing is not like really that much of a contribution to society, right? It's just taking on new tasks, whatever. But like somebody like you, like just something different, bro, from like a doctor, engineer, like somebody who's just talking about STEM all the time, right? Like just something so different about everybody, man. Like, and it's that's like what stood out to me, man, about you. And I think more people need to be like that in the world, only because of like, it makes the world a different place, bro. Like, why do we need like, why do we need everybody to think alike? That's my main point here. If there's anything to take away from that conversation, is that like, why do we need more people to think all the same way? Like sure, like there's going to be probably 100,000 more doctors coming in soon. That's great, but like, why do we all have to think the same way? Why do we all have to like? Why can't we all like have different personalities, pursue different dreams and careers, and escape the kind of matrix, a little bit. You know what I mean? Like be different. you know.
Yeah.
So that's like my point there, bro. My bad for making it long, but you understand.
No, no, no. It's fine, man. And thank you for sharing that. It's a
Yeah.
very good point. And one thing I did want to mention, by the way, about you was the way that you received me in conversation. You said you're talking to someone, but you were fine with me coming in. Like, we need more people like that too, bro. People
Oh
that
yeah,
know
for
how to
sure.
receive different people, Because there's some people out there that just you mentioned emotional intelligence, like they just don't know how to interact.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Sorry. Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I think a large part of that is due to like just like maybe ego, bro, and like just like understanding, like I think just like understanding, like, bro, just be kind. Like the world is like it could be a beautiful place. I know it's a sick place too sometimes, but like it could be like a beautiful place too, depending on how you make it. And it's like as long as you just treat, like, it's the golden rule since we all learned when we were kids, man. Like you just treat others the way you want to be treated. Like why would you like crush a kid's dream, or like just like humiliate him in front of your group of friends just because you want to win some points? And like, all he was trying to do was just like pursue his dream, and like, just try to get to know you. You know what I mean? And it was, what's the harm in that, bro? What are you, is it gonna cost you or something? Like, come on, So it's like, you know, like I just think that, yeah, I guess you're right, like maybe there should be a lot more. And honestly, bro, maybe there is, right? You just maybe haven't come across that, right? Like, maybe, I'm sure there is. Like, I know a lot of
It
people in my
definitely
circle.
is. Yeah, yeah,
If
for
you
sure.
come across those people, like they wouldn't mind. And it's like, honestly, bro, like even if you look at these like interviews on TikTok, like they stop people on the streets, even in New York too, and it's like, it's like one of the busiest like cities in the world, and the people are just hustling, bustling all the time, running around, don't have time for anything. And you'll be surprised if people still like give you time of day, like even if it's like 10 minutes, right? So I think like maybe location has something to do with it, but it's also like just, it's a general rule of thumb, bro. Just be treated the way I mean, sorry, treat others the way you want to be treated, right? I mean, it's just that simple, So,
Yeah.
it's, yeah, that's it for me, man.
No, no, good
Yeah.
point, man. What you were talking about before about how, everyone's kind of doing the same thing. I really like that because I've been thinking about that for the past couple of weeks, for a while actually. And I was reading a book, and in the book, the guy was writing about how, those people exist, but don't resent those people. Don't be upset at those people. In fact, those people help contribute to the culture. They help contribute to the world around us. In fact, what they do is they create opportunities for people to be different because they're all the same. So I
Yeah.
think that's a very interesting phenomenon there.
That is a good point, honestly. That is a good point. I mean, listen, like I said, like, you know, that's why I was saying before, like I think, it's great, man. Like I'm not knocking anybody for choosing with their path, doing whatever they want to pursue, putting food on the table. Dude, whatever works, whatever floats your boat, like it's totally cool. But it's just like you said, like, if we didn't have that in the first place, we wouldn't be seeing, beautiful souls like yourself, right? So it's just nice to see,
Thanks,
like,
man. And yourself too, eh?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I've just been blessed, man, to like be surrounded around the right people at the right time. And I think like bro, like that's a whole separate conversation, but just a quick point I want to make, like, I think the people you surround yourself make a huge impact, man, on who you are, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and some people, they don't even have friends and they're like, oh, well, like I'm my own person because, like I don't surround myself with anybody. I don't have any friends anyway, so I'm good. So, but it's like, no, man, you're not. Like, just because, like you love your mom and your dad and your family, like that's cool. That's great, right? Like that you're, that you love them and that they're good people. But it's like, are they really challenging you? Are they, like, putting you in uncomfortable situations? Are they putting some pressure on you? Are they, like only like people like above like, kind of your level, like will be able to like put you in your place kind of, you know what I mean? Like you like this is one thing I learned from somebody once is like, if you're not feeling stupid around somebody, then you're in the wrong group. You know what I mean? And
Damn,
that
that's
doesn't mean you
deep,
cut
man.
like
That's
yeah, and
deep.
it doesn't mean like you cut your friends off. I mean, bro, like I went to high school with guys that like I love till this day, man. You know what I mean? Like they're great guys, and they're really nice, but it's like, and if they're in front of me, like I'd say this too, like they all would agree too that like, we're all kind of like maybe at the same level or, like we all graduated together and it's like, it's up to you as an individual to understand that like you need to put yourself in, a different type of group and a different type of situation where you're just elevated, bro, where you're put at a place where, you know, the people around you are elevated and they make you feel so stupid and they make you feel like not like by degrading you, right? Obviously, like I've like, bro, I've been in conversations with like, you know, some like really powerful guys in a room once and like I just felt like a retard. Like, excuse my French, but like I felt like an idiot, bro. Like they're literally talking about like, I know the general thing about stocks and crypto and business and all that, but like they went in depth, bro, on details and things that I don't even know, like things that I never found even interest in. And I'm like, man, like how do these people like become like this? And I noticed they're all like the same way, they're all the same way, and they all are like successful together, and they're all like going up this route together. And it's like, dang, man, like that's like the type of people you want to surround yourself with, and it's fine if there's people in your life who like, were there and like they're not like that. That's totally cool, bro. Like, that's what you call like fun time, right? And just people you hang out with. But like there's always got to be that group or like that make you really feel stupid and like for actually taking you upwards. You know what I mean? And I think just having a good balance with that is, kind of like my main point here. And going back to my previous point about like just being different, right? I mean, just like spending time with people like you, for example, like, who just think different, want to be different, and hopefully you become like that too a little bit. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping I maybe start a podcast one day. I don't know. I'm just kidding. But
Yeah.
what's it called? Yeah, man.
You
So
should give it
that's
a shot. You should give it a shot if you're
I
really
thought about it with
interested.
my friends, but it's just that's why like when you first reached out to me about this, I was like, yo, this is so cool. Like I told my friends, like, yo, this is like we've been wanting to. I talk a lot if you can't guess by now, but it's what's it called? My friends and I like one of my good friends, like we every time we're together, dude, all we do is just talk. We sit down and we just talk, like talk or we eat food, and it's like man, like I figured out like man, like I just know how to talk, bro. It's just crazy. But anyway, separate
Yeah.
conversation.
It's
Um,
interesting though that you mentioned that because there's many different reasons why I began my podcast, but that was actually one of them. Where it's just like, I just really like talking to people. And what if
yeah.
it'd be cool if there was like a place for those conversations? So now we have this.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that's a prime example of just, doing what you love, right? It slowly and steadily, like it'll build into something that
Yeah,
how do you know? You never know, bro.
inshallah.
Maybe it
Yeah,
turns into like an income, right? You never know. Right.
you
And
never
that's
do.
cool.
You never do. Yeah,
You'd be surprised, man. There's like people who make money from anything, bro. It's crazy. You know what I mean? I'm saying like obviously legal things. Like, I met this guy once at a mosque, and do you know what itikaf is, right? Like when they stay during Ramadan, in the mosque. Yeah.
yeah.
So it's like, this guy, bro, this guy was like supporting his family, okay, like two kids and a wife with just like playing video games for people. Like there was this video game that he mastered when he was a child. He's like mid 30s right now. Or sorry, he was early 30s at the time. Okay. And I was just like a 16-year-old kid or something. And like, he was like I was talking about like, what he does and all that. And he was like, yeah, bro, like I mastered this game when I was like 6 years old and I became the world's best player at that game. I don't even know what the game is. It was like some random game. You don't even like it's not even popular at all. It wasn't even popular at that time. I was like, what game are you talking about, bro? And like he's like telling me, he's like, yeah, like I have employees in Pakistan and like I have a whole company around this. Like we literally advertise online about our services and we take people's like people would give them their accounts and they would max their accounts to the max level and then that's it. Like people would literally pay just so that they can I'm serious, bro. Like you'd be surprised, but I was like this is literally the most interesting thing anyone's ever told me, bro. Like he literally had a whole group in Pakistan, like a whole team while he was living here, taking care of his two wife I mean sorry, so well one wife, two children, right? And like you know, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. They literally just maxed their accounts out like to the max level, and then just give them their account details back, and was like, good job. It's like what? Like it's like what are you talking about, bro? Like that's crazy,
Damn.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
interesting world, bro. Interesting world we live in. It's just
What
crazy.
that's reminding me of is like my friend one time, we were at like an iftar for the MSA, and one of our friends, he was just kind of like sitting by himself watching like a video of some like car and like some guy working on the engine. And my friend says to me, like, isn't it interesting, like all the different things people are interested in watching? And like it's like, yeah, like I don't watch videos about like working on like the engines of cars. And what it's reminded me of is like the things that people pay money for. It's like there's things that I just never even imagined paying money for, but people pay money for those things.
Yeah, that's
This guy has
facts.
like a service for that. It's like, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it's honestly funny, man, because like, I mean, I have a lot of those stories, like people I've just met like in crazy, like just like businesses and things that like shouldn't even be said on a podcast, honestly. But like, just like you'd be surprised, man. Like, people just making money off of anything. I mean, like let's have a conversation about that. Like, I really don't know much about crypto, but like, I know that NFTs and Dogecoin and all that, like back when it was crazy, like was like to my knowledge, it was just a joke. Like Elon literally like made a tweet and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure he like said something on Twitter saying like, how this was just a joke, right? Or like I'm pretty sure he literally said to everybody like it was just a joke. It started out as a joke, and then you have people becoming millionaires from Dogecoin, and it's like, bro, like imagine telling your future generation, writing a book about this, and telling your future generation like, yeah, I just hopped on the bandwagon of this joke, guys, and like that's how we created generational wealth, like or like even this guy, the gamer guy, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, I put food on the table by like maxing people's account out, you know what I mean? On like, on a video game console. So it's like, it's crazy, man. And you don't judge, right? It's just like cool, it's just so cool
Yeah.
to like see how people like have their own, like their own craft at things, bro, and that going back to like your point about like, or I think, I don't know whose point it was, but like just, even this podcast, like you never know, bro. How do you know like you're not gonna get like I don't know like Joe Rogan on here one day? You never know. So it's just cool. It's just cool to do things that are different. I think a lot of our conversations just goes back to that one point of just escaping the matrix, kind of like just doing something different, being different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
I,
and
I like how you keep mentioning this, man, because I was really into the Matrix like about a year ago.
Nice.
It's, yeah, like escaping the Matrix. What does that mean to you, man?
Yeah, I think that honestly, like pretty much what we've already been talking about, right? Because like, it's just it's like I said, man, like everyone's on this one, kind of channel, right? And if we just have like people who look at that, going back to your point now about like just looking at that from an outside perspective and like, okay, like sure, I can help on that bandwagon and do whatever I gotta do and support my family one day and have dreams of, to, get an education, all that. That's great, okay. But like having sorry, having like, somebody like you for example, like understanding that okay, that's the matrix, that's what we are told to do, that's what we need to do, okay, great. But like what's wrong with like just kind of like still going up there, right, in the same path as everyone else, but like just kind of maneuvering a different way to get up there, right? And it's like the person and the pressure and the everything that you went, all the depression, anxiety, everything you want to call it, bro. It's not easy, right? And like to get up there, just to like try new things, put yourself in uncomfortable situations. I call that escaping the matrix, bro. Putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, doing things that most people are not willing to do. That's to me you know, like who wants to work like like for example, you think the government promotes like starting your own business? Like they really don't, even though they, want to give you loans and all that stuff. Like it's like, that's a whole separate conversation about government corruption and all that. But it's like, and kind of their philosophy on us. But it's like we're literally built to follow this system and this structure, bro. And it's like, like I said, it should just be known that you should know that you're literally being told what to do. Like, if you think that you have your own free will and stuff like that, you're really not. Like you're being told how to like live your life. There's people who have like built businesses working 80 hours a week, right? Who said 40 hours a week? Who put that? Like who put that? Who said seven? Like who said 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, 9 to 5? Who even said that, bro? you know,
Yeah.
who said that you can't start your day at 6 a.m., start your work day at 6 a.m. and then end like, I don't know, like at 7, right? For example, for like young like people who like don't have kids, family, whatever, right? For example, I'm saying, I'm talking specifically for those people, that crowd, right? Like, what are you doing outside of that 8 hour time, right? That you're working, for example, that was set by somebody else, right? That's like that's like the American standard. Okay, 40-hour work week, 9 to 5, and you have like 16 hours to do whatever you want. Okay, who said you gotta sleep 7 hours? All right, I know science does, but like, what if you try to train yourself to like not sleep exactly 7 hours and like go slowly
Oh my
30 minutes down,
goodness.
right? And
Dude,
save
this is
yourself
this
some
is, this is
time.
such a good point, man.
You know what I mean?
There's a lot to be said here with what you were
There is,
saying,
there
but
is.
what it reminded me is coincidentally my brother's name is also Humza. And the other
Okay.
day I was watching Toy Story with him, and I hadn't seen that film in years. But there's this very interesting scene like towards the end where Sid, like the bully, the villain of
Yeah.
the film, the mean kid, he gets like this package and it's a rocket. And he's like so excited. He's like, "Oh shoot, I got this rocket. What am I gonna blow up?" And then he sees the Buzz Lightyear toy. He's like, "Yes, I want this is the one. I want to send this spaceman up." So he straps that rocket, he duct tapes it onto Buzz Lightyear. And then like right when he's about to go take it out, it starts to rain. It's like nighttime now. It's like, all right, well, I gotta go to bed. I'll do it in the morning. So he sets his alarm clock and like he goes to sleep, right? Then here's a very interesting part. Um, the alarm clock goes off and he like wakes up a little bit. He's like kind of drowsy, but then he sees the Buzz Lightyear with the rocket on it. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's right." And so then he like fully wakes up because he's excited. He has a reason to wake up now. Like, "Oh yeah, I remember I was gonna do that thing." And so that
Yeah.
was a very interesting scene for me because it's like he was sleepy. He was still really sleepy, but he had that impetus, that motivation to get up. Like, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that. That's something exciting to do.
Yeah.
So like what you were
Yeah.
saying right there, like you can train yourself. You can.
No, absolutely. Yeah, and that's the thing, man. Like, it's like there's this gentleman that one of the people, I think one of the influencers online that have pretty much changed my life when I was a kid. One of them was his name is Tony Robbins. Okay. I don't know if you ever heard of him. Check out his
Yeah.
content online. It's amazing. Even for those who are listening, like freaking guy's crazy, man. Like changed my life when I was a kid, at least, probably says things that are like common sense now to adults, but like for me, like it was as a kid, like it was really like nice to like just hear that. And it's like one of the principles that I've learned from Tony Robbins was uh life is life is 80% psychology and 20% mechanics. Okay. Like, are you really tired, or are you just telling yourself that because like, you had a bad day at work, right? And you're like, oh, I had a long day and like I'm just tired. Okay. So brain was like, all right, you had a bad day, so that equals tired. So I'm gonna go to sleep. And it's like, what? Like, what if you just like flip that, right? And then you're like, okay, like, hey brain, I had a bad day, but that doesn't mean I'm tired. I could still like get like 2 hours an extra work done, right? Like I'm not really tired. I just like want to complain and feel comfortable right now, and I want to feel soft in my comfortable like little bed. And that's it. Yeah. So it's like, you're like literally training your mind to like cater to your laziness kind of, you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, it just goes back to that thing, man. And it's like, it's really true what Tony Robbins said. Like you really can like kind of control your mind, bro. Like, you know what I mean? You can't like you don't have to let your mind take over you. You can try to cater your mind to, how you actually want to build your life. Whether that's being more disciplined or, being like, I don't know, getting more skilled at a hobby or doing certain things. And it's like, that's also like what's changed my life, man, and like, I just making a one more comment about Tony Robbins, like I think one of the biggest things that he's taught. I went to a seminar of his in Dallas actually once when I was younger. Went with my brothers and my dad. And in the seminar, like one of the things we learned was like, he just like looks at everybody. There's like, I don't know, like freaking like probably like 7,000, 8,000 people in this room. Okay. And he just like looks at everyone and he's like, everyone take out your booklets, right? That was given to all of us. And he's like, I want you to write down like why you're here, right? And then everyone's like doing that. And then he's like, write down your dreams, right? Like what do you want to do or whatever, right? And then you know, he's like, now like write down, this was the third, like, and it was best for last. He's like, now write down like what's your why? And everyone's like, what does this guy mean? Like why? And he's like, why do you want to pursue those dreams? Why do you want to get there? Like who cares if you got like a Lambo and a mansion? Who cares, right? Like why what do you need that for, right? Or like why do you want to do certain things? And it's like I don't know, like for me as a kid at that time, I mean, I understand it now, but like at the time I was like, yo, like that's crazy because like online you have people talking like, flexing their wealth and like, have all these things, and it sets a certain pressure on, I think, like a lot of young males, to be honest with you. And it's like, like, I mean, that's a separate conversation, but it's like, it sets a certain pressure on you that like you're not good enough if you don't have like a Lambo, or like, you need to flex to like your wealth to like, be accepted by society. And like, there's this whole conversation around that, but it's like, like why though? You know what I mean? And like then obviously like, you start writing things down and most people are like, okay, well, I want to be financially stable so that I can, pay for my mom's cancer bills, right? For example, or I want to be financially stable so that I can put food on the table and not have my wife work two jobs with me, right? Or to take care of our children. Or I want to be financially stable so that I can, provide, for, I don't know, my grandmother's like, like expenses, or for example, right? Stuff like that. So it's like understanding and being aware of why do you want to just pursue what you're doing, right? Are you like trying to become successful and financially stable so that you can flex your wealth and like impress people when you get to that stage? All right. People who don't even care about you, quite frankly, and don't really, are going to be a part of your life forever. Right. And even if they are part of your life, you're impressing the wrong people, buddy. You know what I mean? So it's like, um, that's just, I don't know, man. Like I wanted to put that in there, like, just understanding like your why, understanding like why are you doing all this, right? And going back to what you're saying about that motive, right? Like just understanding what are you doing all this for? What are you, waking up early for? What are you, working on yourself for? What are you being so self-disciplined for? And most people will say financial stability, right? And that's fine and all, but get more deeper into that, man. What exactly do you want to see? You can't just say financial stability. Everybody wants that. What exactly do you want? What exactly are you looking for? Do you want to see your like, for example, like it's going back to the cancer thing. There was a gentleman there, that's why I'm using this example, who was sitting near us, that used this example. Then that's what I remember when I was like 16. Like he literally like just wanted to be financially stable. so that he can pay for his like mom's like, you know, like I think it was his mom's or his wife's like, cancer treatment. That's expensive, right? And that's like such a crazy drive. Those days when you're tired and like you don't feel like getting up, like I don't know, like 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, whatever you're doing, right? And like just like you have a bad day, like those things, bro. Thinking about, your Kent, your mom or your wife in literally has cancer on their deathbed, right? So it's like, what like that's why you need to understand your why. Like, what are you doing it all for? These motives will push you to go beyond your limits, bro. Like, and take you to the next level, and really like when you're under pressure, like forcing you to just do whatever you gotta do and get it done, no matter what, no matter how you feel, no matter how hard it gets, it just pushes you to keep going. And that's honestly what's worked for me for a very long time, man, since I was a child. And I think many others. I mean, it's Tony Robbins, like the guy can't go wrong with some advice, right? But yeah, man. Anyway, I've just been talking a long time, my bad. But I just wanted to make that point. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that, but I know we're also running out of time here pretty soon too. But
Yeah. I was wondering, dude, do you want to continue this on the next one?
I'm sorry, man. I actually have to get going in a bit. I'm
No
so sorry.
worries. No
Yeah,
worries. Well, in this
I'm
case,
sorry about that.
whatever,
Yeah.
it's fine, dude. In this case, do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you felt like you wanted to say but you didn't get a chance to, or something on your
No, man.
mind
I
that you wanted
think
to express?
I think I just I had a I think I just like had a good opportunity to have an amazing conversation with an amazing individual like yourself. And this was good for me, man. I just want to come out and be honest. Like, dude, I was of course like uncomfortable in the beginning because I never did this before, right? So it's like this is a
You
like
did
from
good
all
though. I really like this. What you said, man.
yeah. And
It's good,
that's
man.
the
It's
thing,
something to
bro.
think
Like,
about.
yeah, no, for sure. And that's the thing, right? Like that's, going back to our conversation, kind of like the theme, it's like, just be different. You know what I mean? Be different, guys. Like, don't, just stay in the same channel, man. Like just be different. And then you'll pick up habits, you'll do things differently. And, like I enjoyed this, right? Like take me as an example as somebody who literally like I was so nervous before this, like this podcast. I didn't even know like how this was gonna go. It was my first time. And it's like, I love this, bro. This was like so great, right? This was like a good experience, right? It's something new, sparked a new brain cell, did something new that like I can talk about in the future when I don't know, meet somebody in the future, right? Or network with an individual who like maybe has had the previous same experience or whatever. So just trying new things, man, being different, right? Like just, improving yourself, just going to school and going to work and then coming back and eating food and going on Netflix isn't gonna like, it's not working on yourself. You might accomplish your degree, you might accomplish whatever you're working on, you might accomplish paying the bills, but bro, like, are you really working on yourself though? Like, are you just a robot built to pay the bills and, like go to school and come back and, be who you are? Like, no, man, there's more to life than that. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the biggest themes I wanted to spread out here. So we have less than a minute here. And I just wanted to say thank you so much, Omar, for allowing me to be on this, man. And yeah, I just thank
Yeah,
you.
no, I love it, man. I really love it. There was so much more to talk to you about.
Yeah,
You
for
brought up
sure.
so many great points, man. But
We
whatever
can always do
you
in the
left us
future.
with, yeah,
Yeah,
inshallah, it was great, man. It was great. Thank
for
you.
sure. For sure,
Yeah,
bro. Thank you so much.
one New Yorker to another, one Texan to another. You take care, my friend.
All right, man. All right. You have a nice one.
Assalamualaikum.
Thanks,
Thanks, you too.